Bill Runner on the roof, James Control the Mingle. Please welcome Rebecca and the Word Crew.
So I really wanted to talk to you about being a teenager. It's not a recent concern. I mean, obviously, you can probably tell that, but I still carry an awful lot of baggage from it. I can't afford therapy. Who can these days? So here I am. So I suppose I turned 13 on Friday the 13th, which I think really set the tone, you know, for the rest of the coming years. And I know, like, when I stand before you here now today, I'm very suave and sophisticated and cool. But back then things were very, very different. And you know, I was just like any other normal teenager, really, for, you know, in lots of ways. I suppose like any other normal teenager who wrote Irish Republican Buffy the Vampire Slayer fanfiction in school while listening to Evanescence on my Sony Discman. For any Gen Zers in the room, I don't know if there are any, but just in case, that's what a Discman is what we had before Spotify, right? And the kind of the consequences of it was that, you know, you couldn't just be jumping from album to album and band to band. You had to really commit, you know. And what I committed to was listening to Christian rock music at the back of French class while writing what was essentially lesbian porn. I've noticed they put up the perfect painting for the event, actually, so thank you for that. Very good. And the thing is, right, I didn't just use the existing characters in Buffy. No, I was an author. I created many original characters, including Aoife, who was an Irish vampire slayer in the 1920s. She was blonde, she was beautiful, and every single attractive woman she met wanted to have sex with her. And any similarities to the author, living or dead, was completely and totally coincidental. And it's funny now, right, when I look back on it, right, because I don't actually know which is more offensive. My completely and utterly entirely theoretical understanding of sex at the time, like lesbian or otherwise, right? I hadn't even seen a boob at this stage. Or my very basic concept of Irish history, which was mostly centred on the idea that Liam Neeson was Michael Collins. Like, not even that he played Michael Collins in the movie, no, that he was Michael Collins. Liam Neeson was Michael Collins, Alan Rickman was out Eamon De Valera, and Alan Rickman got him shot. That was Irish history for me, and that's what I understood about it, okay? And I think actually what the mad thing is about all of this, like not only that I wrote so much all the time, right, was that I actually had people who read it. I had followers. I had an editor at one stage, right? And so I was very prolific. I was publishing chapters every week to people who actually wanted to read them. And obviously sometimes the schedule would be delayed if I had a maths test, or like my mum plugged out the modem and she wanted to make a phone call, you know. God be with those days, right? But the fact is I was far more prolific and popular than I could probably ever be now as a writer. And I really think it just shows you what you can achieve when you're really, really horny, you know. Just keep believing, guys, just keep believing. So I was wondering, do you want a little teaser? Yeah! I thought you would, you little pervert. Just hands where I can see them, okay? Especially you, Kate, yeah. And I suppose I am going to keep it family friendly, because originally my man-in-law was supposed to be coming here and I didn't think our relationship would survive it. So it is going to be family friendly. Who actually watched Buffy, first of all? Okay, good. And did you write fan fiction? No. Yeah, right. Yeah, we all did it. So I suppose the first thing you need to know, I have it written down because I don't want to remember any of this fan fiction in my head, right? I have it written down line for line here. But I think the first thing you need to understand about this fan fiction was that it opened with a quote from Shakespeare. Because of course it did. Because it was Macbeth and I studied it that morning. And I thought, you know what? I'll throw that in now and they won't realise I'm full of shit. So I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I throw loads of Irish in there, which my Irish teacher would have been very surprised at, really. Okay. This is a good idea of my understanding of things, right? Aoife cursed the British government, sending their army rejects and mass murderers to patrol her beautiful war-torn country. They had already taken one of her brothers to God knows where, probably never to be seen again. Her other 6 brothers were fighting for under Michael Collins, Liam Neeson, the big fella. Okay, so I think that's a good idea of the nuanced understanding I had of Irish history. Like, it was essentially Neil Jordan fighting, you know, in the countryside. Everything was perfect, so that was it. But I do have another quote that I think actually demonstrates a lot more as I said, my entirely theoretical understanding of lesbian relations at the time. So this is from Jessica. Jessica was another character I created. She was also an Irish vampire slayer. She was also blonde, but she lived in a demon dimension for a few years, so she was completely different to Aoife. Definitely not the same person, and definitely not me. There was a character called Kennedy who was actually in the show. She was really annoying, but she was really beautiful, and she was gay, and to be honest, that's all I needed. So, Jessica loved to approach women in nightclubs. And I suppose the important thing to note here is that, once again, at this stage of my life, I had never been A, in a nightclub, or B, I had never approached a woman. So this is, yeah. Kennedy opened her mouth to make her move. Jessica stepped down from her chair and walked towards her. It's very functional stage directions going on just here. Kennedy smirked. And another side note, every one of my characters loves smirking in my fanfictions. I counted 13 smirks in a 20-page fanfiction. I think that's just how I thought people flirted, you know? And to be honest, like, my flirting has not evolved much beyond that, so, okay. Right, back to the story. Okay. Jessica leaned into her, whispering in her ear, "You're a terrible woman." Tormenting me with those eyes of yours all night. Anyway, it's probably a miracle I managed to get any woman to love me eventually, really. So, especially after this gig, I'm glad I have that stuff locked down now at this stage. So, I did have more explicit extracts selected at one stage, but you're going to have to wait for the After Dark version for that. I know that there's the Pink Lady hockey team down there now, they're delighted. So I suppose, like a teenager that doesn't really know what they're doing, I'm just going to leave you a bit unsatisfied. So I've been Rebecca Murphy, and you've been great. Thank you very much.